It is Friday. There's a lot going on. We did disclosure. Let's get to it. Let's see if I can get this streaming in the Alpha team also. Hold on. All right, there you go. Alpha guys, can you see? Red Dog, Red Dog, Chief Strategic Officer at t3live.com. Okay, I figured a lot could change, based on the 830 number, based on what's happening with all the banks. Obviously, unless you've been under a rock, you know what's been going on with SIVB and where it was and where it got halted this morning. I'm actually being told that there's some kind of bailout coming out today. I don't know what the terms are. Listen, I've been doing this since 1997, and I went through the whole financial crisis, and I saw what happened with Countrywide, and then what happened with Bear Stearns and Lehman and this and that, and just so you know, a lot of that happened. And then you still had 6 months of downside of whatever that meant. I think when those things got taken over, like the Dow was still 11,000, went to 6, 7,000. I'm not saying anything's going to happen. I'm just saying, you might get some sentiment pushback here and there based on the news, but just don't get a false sense of security anywhere. Anyway, you look at the spies from yesterday. Let's just go real quickly to the charts. At least technically, you had a lot of ways to maneuver this tape. So when there are traps and misdirection, it's a little harder on a trader versus when you actually have choices you can make intraday to limit your risk, to maybe get short, to do certain things based on your time frame and parameters and how you actually go about your business. And if you remember, last Thursday, a week ago Thursday, they reversed the market, right? So you had to cover some shorts and get long, and tech was kind of stronger. And then you had a 3-day move into Monday. This was Monday, right into prior resistance. So if you were long, you had a way to sell into strength. And if you were looking to short a rally, because the oscillator went from like minus 60 to neutral, you could have either shorted there or waited for, I think this was, I don't know, remember what day of the week that was. What's today? Today, this was Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. We went below 404 and then had a small little bounce into yesterday. And then yesterday, you also had a way to play a small bounce before, it didn't hold 399.71 and then engulfed that all the way down. So this is where the spies are right now. The spies, are 392.62. Okay, so the spies right now are above this low and above this low, but right down here. You might get some emotional movement in the banks based on whatever the terms are of whatever happens with SIVB. It got halted at 40. This is some serious stuff. This was in February. This was a $300 bank, like considered a real bank. It's not like SI, which was a crypto bank, which that also was crazy, right? And that's actually up a little bit. My friend was just saying it's up 60 cents. But again, don't get caught there. They might have some kind of infusion for what, I don't know. I stay away from things like that. Those what I call widow makers. You can make good money, if you're lucky, but you try and play something like that and the news gets halted, called widow maker because, boom. I know guys that were selling puts yesterday in SIVB, and all of a sudden, because they didn't think it could be down another 40% or whatever. Anyway, we'll see what happens here. All I know is that, wow, that's kind of crazy. And then a lot of people are like, hey, Red Dog, they're going to come out and bail out JP Morgan. I'm like, bail out JP Morgan? I mean, you guys have to have a little perspective here. Look at JP Morgan. JP Morgan, was just basically trading at the highs of monthly highs. So all it did is break here. This is when technically, active guys who are trying to play the banks for upside because they thought banks should do better with higher rates because that's what the TV tells you should happen. Anyway, it broke right here. And then even yesterday, you had a way to get out of the way when it broke this high level. So now what? All it did is come back down to the December lows. This is where it was in October at 101. So although, might have felt a little painful yesterday in JP Morgan, don't get any kind of false sense of security that you could just buy it because, it had a bad down day. So anyway, we'll see what happens here. JP Morgan right now is up 48 cents at 130.82. This is 128. This is 129.22. So for sentiment purposes, watch this. Maybe you get some kind of bounce back. If all of a sudden SIVB does get some kind of bailout, which I don't know what it would be. You get some kind of move back, some kind of retracement. That would be like 132. I'm kind of, I'm coming in pretty neutral, and tactical. Yesterday I had a bunch of different tech names on, and I sold some strength, got stopped out of some. I actually made money short the spies, and I come in today, into a binary event. I'm like, I'm not going to do options. I'm just going to stay tactical and, continue to try and net money, because that's what we do as traders. We try and net money so you can make a living and get paid at the end of March or end of the quarter. Um, some people are like, hey, Red Dog, I've been following your Blood on the Street account. You've been really good with it. Last year, you netted like 14%. You sold really well a month or so ago at 41.40. Are you buying here? I'm like, well, this isn't Blood on the Street. Like, you guys have to have different perspective, on things. You go here. This is the S&P cash. Okay, although yes, there was a pretty big down day. We're just back to where we were here. We're not even near the December lows, which is 37.64. We're not saying we have to go there, but with rates where they are and inflation being sticky and some corporate earnings having to come down and moves like this in the banks, you would think we could go lower. So for me, I did sell her really well up here. And if you look at the monthly chart, so anyway, real quickly, 39.08 is yesterday's low. Right now, it's been bouncing towards this 39.28. Can't really get above it. Right now, the spies are fading a little bit here. So I just be very careful. Don't if you want to speculate on the crazy names, do it with options. If you think like somebody was like, I want to buy calls on SIVB just in case it's valid, at least risk is premium paid versus buying it and then anything could happen there. But whatever, 39.08, 39.28, and then if it gets below 39.08 today, you have 38.85, 38.39. This is, remember, that when that active sequence started in the start of the year, and then this is when the bears tried to take over. And now you see it, this was just a lower high. And now yesterday we made a lower low, so we'll see what happens here. For me, I would think, I would probably, if it's not going to be today, in the next few weeks or whatever it is, if we see a move towards, this area, which is just the December lows, that's probably where I would put one of the 3 or 4 tiers of the Blood on the Street account. If you look at the weekly chart, you'll see, like, again, it's like a lot of lines, right? I did post the language, which you could, this was from yesterday, which you could read, always read the language. If you look right here, this is where we are. Well, as of right now, we'll see how the candle closes this, but it's a pretty bearish engulfing candle if it closes here or lower today. And what could it lead to? I would think again here, 37.64, and then that's October lows. Right now, it tried to break above this downtrend. Okay, so this is a very important spot. Does it break back below it or not? So for me, this isn't Blood on the Street. This one candle, Blood on the Street, was like this. That was a good move lower, or this. This still, look where we are. The Nasdaq, I think, is still up 8% on the year. So where's the Blood on the Street? Anyway, so that's that. So with that being said, we'll see how it goes today, and I'll update this later. So yes, I was in Apple yesterday, and I got stopped out. Why did I get stopped out of Apple? Well, look at that loose wide candle. It tried. It tried to get above 154, couldn't hold it. It broke below 151, so I got out of the way. I actually made good money in Apple yesterday. So at this point, what 150.23 is yesterday's low. I would watch this also. If Apple can't hold up today and it breaks below 150.23, this was just at like almost monthly highs. There's room there. So at this point, just be careful. This is a very bearish looking candle. So it's either gonna have to repair it pretty fast or it's gonna lead to more downside. So don't have a false sense of security there. Nvidia did a red dog reversal yesterday. It traded above this 242, 243 at 244.54, then reversed. This has had a big move. So, just don't have a false sense of security in any of these things. Just trade them. So we'll see what happens from there. AMD was really strong yesterday, but it also created a topping tail. So from the January lows all the way up, hit 87.51 and came back below it. Right now it's up 80 cents. I think if you have to be in things, tech is a little bit better than obviously the banks. And a lot of guys on the Alpha team were talking, and I actually had to apologize a little bit. Just the way you do it. I don't like when the cynicism or the sarcasm, because it's hard to interpret. I like when you just point things out, and sometimes it leads to things. Someone who's like bearish for 2 weeks and says, oh, it's not going to end well, that's not a really trading plan. But if you're like, hey, look at the IWM, didn't really rally much when the market tried to rally, that's telling me to be careful. And then all of a sudden that happened in the small caps. Same thing with the bios. Bios started the year real strong and then broke right there. And then there was really no bounce here, and then it broke lower also. So when this S&P had these 3 days, right? On this 3 day bounce, okay, didn't happen in the small caps, the bios, and the banks. So that gave some clues that, hey, better be careful that the spies and the Qs can't do it by itself, and what's leading what. And then yesterday, obviously, everything rolled over. So we'll see what happens today. Right now, it's going to be noisy. There's going to be a lot of probably rumors circulating about what kind of bailout or what's the next bank, or did Jamie Dimon have a lot of fun at Epstein's Island? Oh, that's a little crazy. You really think he hung himself? I don't. But anyway, not saying that Jamie did it. I'm just saying, there was some things out there, and anyway, see what comes out of that mess. But again, J.P. Morgan 129.22, 128, and just look out below if it breaks it. 1, 2, 3, 4 down days. So it's always hard to press a short there, but doesn't mean you could just finally buy it either. What's everybody saying? Fed funds. Let's see what's the TLTs doing right now. TLTs are up $1.50, so that means yields are coming in, and usually the market likes that. But sometimes relationships change a little bit. Like is now the bank is that going to become a bit of a safety trade because of what's happened elsewhere? I don't know. The TLTs is worth watching. TLTs pretty tight here now. TLTs are actually where are they? 103.50. So the TLTs are above this 102.97. So that means yields are coming in. So is that because there's a little bit of fear of what's going to happen down the road versus worried about inflation? So don't base your trades just on, the TLTs are up, I could just buy things. No, in the last, few months, every time the TLT were up, the dollar was down, you could buy some tech or equities, or every time it was the reverse, it was the computers were the other way. So you got to let today kind of show its face. Tesla, I have no position. It turned into a weaker trade. I love to use the 8 day. I love to trade Tesla when there's momentum. Since January 6th, it was the poster child of the January effect bounce, and then we had a red dog reversal here, and then really this is when it lost the 8 day, which was 192ish. Thing was upgraded this morning. It's up 3, so see if it holds up. It broke 180 yesterday, hit a low of 172.54, 1, 2, 3, 4 down days. As I say with my day count rule, usually you want a short day 1 or day 2. By day 4, it's harder. Same way I don't like to buy day 4 up. It's hard to short day 4 down. Anyway, see how it holds. Right now, Tesla is at 176. So, I would think this low here of 180 should be some resistance if it tries to go. Yesterday gave you a little bit of action and was weaker. So for tech, if you're looking for clues, Meta's also been really strong. I've been trying to stay with Meta here and there, but a move like yesterday gets you out of some of these things. So don't be upset that it's up. It's probably just going to trade. But I would say Meta is in that more of the have camp. But again, look at this move yesterday. If you sold it yesterday, don't be upset. It pushed above a prior high, got kind of rejected into resistance and closed pretty red. So anyway. So I guess the moral of the story is if you're actively trading, be very careful. We are a bit oversold. The oscillator is minus 60, so it might be hard to press shorts today. But technically, I feel like we're bent and a lot of things are broken. Macro-wise or intermediate-wise, this is not a spot I'm putting my white blood on the street account to work. I'm being very cautious there. But if you do, listen, if you're watching this and you have a 401k and you put monthly flows in, I am fully invested in my 401k, my wife's 403b, and my son's 529 because they get monthly flows. And over time, this whatever happens here will help your average cost if you do it in S&P funds. Okay, not in stocks because you never know what stock will never come back. But the blood on the street account is for when things break and when there's blood on the street, and I've used it probably 5 times now in the last 4 years, and that account's on all-time highs, and it's sitting right now on a fixed rider getting 3.8%, and I'm going to wait. That accounts for when I will, like, holy cow, look at these things. I could buy them here, and if I'm wrong and the world ends, I'm not going to know the world ends, and who cares? Anyway, that's what that accounts for. But for your long-term plans, just put monthly flows in. My wife's actually blood in the street account was built when she worked at UMD&J from 2004 to 2010, and she got the cost average price of the S&P, during the financial crisis, because she did every month. Didn't matter. I know someone who actually got out right before the financial crisis hit. He thought he was the smartest man alive, and he never got back in. Although we went to 666, we also just went to 4,800. So how well did he do? So anyway, don't try and outsmart yourself. Just be planned. Have your process. I'm a little late today. As far as I had to change my process and my routine because of family situation. But anyway, um, here we are. Just to leave you, SPYs are up 75 cents, kind of no man's land. If you look at the Qs, um, this was the Qs are actually doing better, right? Because where's the Qs? The Qs did not break Thursday's low. Okay, so there is some strength in tech because of their cash, their balance sheets, and the lack of exposure to something like an SIVB. Um, Watch JP Morgan for their smart money usually knows what's going on with the banks based on how they manipulate JP Morgan also. And I guess listen up and see what kind of deal SIVB happens to get today of some sort, and then watch JP Morgan's reaction to it to figure out whether or not it's favorable or there's more sugar honey iced tea like that coming up down the road. So anyway, I got to get ready. Hopefully, you're prepared mentally. Multiple plans today. Use yesterday's low in the SPYs to Qs in some of those ETFs. Watch tech to see if it holds up or not. And I think you let the dust settle a little bit here and stay your course on your bigger time frames. Thanks for tuning in. I have no idea where this video is going. Mike is, I said it might be public. If it's, my dogs are watching from the 6:30 club. Yo, yo. If the Alpha team is watching, which they get a morning call every day, I'm doing this one a little late. I wanted to do a post jobs report. And then if the Alpha team, if everyone's watching, I appreciate you. Have a great weekend, guys. After today.